Hi, everyone. This is Michele Graglia.
This is Marianne Hogan.
Hi, I'm Adrian McDonald.
I'm Katie Asmith.
Hi, this is Anthony Gasals.
Hi, my name is Meg Morgan.
Hey, it's Jordan Trove.
This is John Ray.
This is Ryan Van Duzer, and you are listening to the Gotta Run Racing Podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, we are back with another Gotta Run podcast.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, where have we been?
Since Sulphur Springs. I guess that race knocked us out. We needed to recover.
Oh, gosh.
And then, of course, after Sulphur, we had our own race, Rainbow Trail Run, which went really well.
Yeah, good vibes all around.
For sure. And then, of course, we've been busy training for our next race, Lost Soul Ultra in Lethbridge, Alberta.
Yeah, how you feeling about Lost Soul? It's only a month away.
Well, when you put it that way, I'm a little scared, but that's all right. We just got back from Iceland and we stuck to our training despite being on a cruise and eating 24/7. I think we did all right.
Yeah, not bad with those bottle of wine for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Speaking of Iceland, we need to find someone that's taking part in this Fire and Ice Ultra this month.
It's 250K and you run across the northern part of Iceland.
That would be so beautiful.
And remote.
Very remote. Lots of waterfalls. Lots of lava fields.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be running over volcanoes.
Yeah.
Wow, we got to find someone who is going to finish that.
If you guys know anybody, let us know.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, during our hiatus, we were glued to the screens watching Western States.
Yes, Caleb Olson almost broke the course record.
Unbelievable. They had great weather, didn't they?
Better than when we were there, I think. And Abby Hall wins it for the women. And everyone thought that she didn't have it in her, but we knew better.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, our Canadian Marianne Hogan took third spot. Another gutsy performance by her.
That's right.
And of course, Western was then followed up by Hardrock, which saw Katie Scheid break the female course record. And Ludovic Pomeray took it for the men. Top 3 male were all from France. What does that tell you?
I think we need to go back to France.
Do some training. My goodness. That's wild. Unfortunately, there was a fatality on course that took the life of a 60-year-old, very experienced runner, which we were very sad to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate. Today, we are chatting with a Canadian who told the line at Hardrock. That is Craig Frizzle, 47 years old, from Maple Ridge, BC, which is just east of Surrey. He finally got into Hardrock after, almost 10 years of trying?
We think 10 years based on his ultra sign-up. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But it's always a very long time.
Absolutely. Well, we don't know too much about Craig, but thanks to our past guest and friend of the show, Steve Day, for introducing us. He says Craig has a story to tell, and we love ultra stories.
So without further ado, here is Craig coming up.
Welcome to the podcast, Craig, and congratulations on your recent finish at Hardrock.
Oh, thank you very much.
Before we get to Hardrock, of course, we'd like to get to know you a little bit better. Tell our listeners about Maple Ridge. I know it's east of Surrey, but I really don't know much about it and what your closest training ground is, the mountain areas, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the forgotten suburb here on the north side of the Fraser River, just across from Surrey, Langley. But it's beautiful. It's perfect. A short drive. Golden Ears Park is the main one. Just has endless trails up there and some nice mountains, including Golden Ears Peak to get up to. So I spend a lot of time up there. And then if I want to venture out, Chilliwack, just in the valley, it has some amazing mountains. Squamish, Whistler aren't that far away. So I like to explore there. But I got lots of beautiful trails right in my backyard, which is nice.
Oh, lucky. Are you from BC?
I am, yes. I grew up in the interior of BC and moved to the Lower Mainland for university years and years ago.
Tell us what even got you into running.
I was thinking about this, and it actually kind of boiled down to peer pressure. I was always kind of a runner, but I just go out and run occasionally, never very often or with any. And then I did a half marathon just to say I did, and thought, who would ever double that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And then a group of people wanted to do the Fat Dog Relay back when that was a thing. And so I trained for that. And then it ended up getting canceled that year. But
Oh.
my leg was about 30 something K. So at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm trained for this. Maybe I should try a marathon. And then it was awful. Like I had a horrible day. And so then me being me, I was stubborn. So I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I kept trying until I got it right.
Yeah.
And then my friend emailed me about a 50-mile race in Whistler. I didn't know these existed. I knew nothing about them. And I said no because it sounded crazy.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of kept badgering me. I'm like, okay. And again, it's funny looking back on it now. This was like 2013. I knew nothing. Like I bonked before I knew what bonking was. It was miserable, and we finished. And I just, in that way that trail running gets you, I just fell in love, and I've been hooked ever since. And
What was the name of that first 50?
it was called the Meet Your Maker 50 miler.
Ooh.
Good name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
When did you first hear about Hardrock?
Hardrock came probably about 2016 when I ran Fat Dog, and I'd sort of met a running group here, and there was one guy from that group who knew about it and had been putting in, and so sort of became aware of it then, and I ran Fat Dog, so I'm like, oh, I guess I should put my name in the lottery for this race, and then just obviously over the years followed it more and more, and finally got in.
There we go. Now, obviously, the lottery process for Hardrock is probably a little more challenging than Western or UTMB. What was your criteria for choosing your lottery races?
Mostly location, like relatively close. I mean, there's such a limited, it seems they're growing their qualification races, but when I started, there weren't a lot. So Fat Dog was easy. It was closest, but I also like to do different races. I don't want to do the same race every time. So I found Idaho, Wyoming, like Bighorn, I Am Tough. I went down to Colorado 3 years ago and did High Lonesome there just because I thought, hey, if I can't get into Hardrock, at least I'll go see Colorado. And so, yeah.
Now, you mentioned some ticket races like Bighorn and Fat Dog, High Lonesome, but one piqued our interest was I'm Tough, because we never talked about that race on our podcast. So can you tell us about I'm Tough?
Yeah, it was a great race. Again, I didn't know a lot about it going in, but it was just in Idaho, which wasn't too far away. And I was intrigued because it was, at the time, it's since changed, but it was based out of a Bergdorf Hot Springs. So it was very rustic, sort of camping in the kind of middle of nowhere. And they just had some natural hot springs right there. And so went there, and it's the one and only time I've slept in a small little tent before running 100 miles. I wouldn't recommend, but but it worked out okay. And yeah, just a absolutely beautiful, beautiful course. All up through the mountains in there. It just was, a gorgeous course. Very nice. And nothing beats finishing a 100-miler and having hot springs right there for the body, including, my favorite was they had the pool, and then at the end of it, they had an old clawfoot bathtub.
Ooh.
And that outflow from the pool, so you could just climb in the tub and have a nice post-race bath. And then inevitably at 4:00 in the morning, when you wake up with your body aching, you could just stumble over to the hot springs and relax. So yeah, that was amazing there.
So how did it go overall?
It went well. It's all, they're always a struggle, but the first half, I really got off to a good start. I was feeling really good and going, and then just kind of fell apart a little bit on the back half. But I think the big climb comes in late in the game, and it was just struggle. I definitely had some pretty fun hallucinations at that one too towards the end, but I managed to make my way to the finish.
That's good. And that race is an actual festival weekend? Like it's more than multiple distances? And
yeah, I think at the time they had one, I think it was a 30-mile distance as well, but it was just a 100-miler and a 30-miler.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a few more distances than that. We haven't been to Idaho.
No, that's why we're interested about this race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. And then after, it was amazing. As we were leaving, we took this very sketchy Forest Service round down a steep hill. And then all of a sudden we came across this river with the most beautiful white sandy beaches that I've never seen in Idaho of all places. So we had to pull over, and it was like this soft white sand along the river. I was like, I don't know where we are, but this is amazing.
Wow. Now, before we dig into Hardrock, any other stories you can regale us with from any of your other ultras? Anything interesting crop up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always something interesting that happens when you run 100 or 120 miles. Fat Dog was my first at 120, and the hallucinations again kicked in full gear there, and that was that was the first time I'd ever experienced that, and not the last time either, but yeah, it was just, it's pretty crazy when you're out in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, and you just start seeing things all over the place. Thankfully, I was always alert enough to realize they weren't real, but so you're somewhat aware they're hallucinations, but still kind of. And I guess the most beautiful one I did was the CCC race at UTMB.
Oh, yeah.
It was a perfect day, beautiful, sunny, and to be up in the Alps, and like the Swiss Alps villages are just exactly what you picture a Swiss Alp village being as you run through them. It was just a little shocking with the number of people at the start line, like with most of the 100-milers around here being a couple hundred people at the most, suddenly lining up with 4,000 people was a bit of a shock to the system. But
crazy. But you got to see the best part of the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk Hardrock. Where were you when you first found out that you got into Hardrock?
I was actually at work. and funny enough, every year I know the lottery's happening. I don't watch it. I am not that optimistic. Great if I get in, but I'm not really sure. I was at work. It was quiet. So I had the lottery going on the computer, and I was just sitting there kind of watching it and listening. And I just happened to look, and I just, out of the corner of my eye, I caught Maple Ridge first. It was the first thing I saw. And I was just like, ugh. And and then I looked up and saw my name, and then they said it. And I was just like, oh, holy, I got in. And then, of course, my phone started blowing up with other people who were watching it. And like, it was just, took a while for it to sink in. Like, holy, you just never expect to get in. So to actually see my name.
Can you imagine if someone else from Maple Ridge got in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That brief moment. And then like, oh.
Yeah.
Now that was December, right? It's the same day as Western? Okay.
Yeah.
What was your game plan in training up to Hardrock? That's several months that you have to figure this out.
Yeah, I always told myself that if I ever got in, I was going to do it right. Like I was going to, so I made sure to plan. I got the time off work, so I took a month before so I could drive down there and get acclimatized. But in terms of training, I reached out to a woman I know who's a running coach, and she was kind enough to take me on. So I got a coach, which I'd never done before. So actual structured training. I started going to physio just to get the body kind of.
You mean you hadn't been to physio before?
No, actually, I never had. Probably should have started that a long time ago. But so yeah, and then just followed the plan as best as I could and tried to get everything set and ready to go. So I'd be as ready as I could be for Hardrock.
Who's your coach? Give her a shout out.
Shout out to Jenny Quilty.
Oh yeah,
of course.
We had her on.
Yeah,
we had her
the best.
Yeah,
amazing. Did you do any races leading up to Hardrock to get yourself in the frame
I
of
just
mind?
did one, which is the Tiger Claw 50K in Issaquah, Washington.
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to do it anyway, but it seemed like a good primer because it's literally just 3 times climbing a big hill and descending. So that's basically the race. And so it was a good kind of eye opener of what that was going to feel like to climb those big 900 meter climbs repeatedly with just a descent. But yeah, that was the only one I ended up doing.
That's Ginger Runner's race?
It is, yes.
Yeah. What was the vibe like there?
Oh, very good vibes. Yeah, it was really, really fun. Yeah, I did the ascent race on the Friday and then the 50K on the Saturday just to maximize my climbing. And yeah, it was just a really cool thing everyone's kind of, you're passing people all over the place because you can do the climbs in any order you want. So everyone's doing their own thing, and then you're descending with people and meeting people around. It's always fun doing those kind of races where you're watching the top people fly by you up the hill and catching up to other people. So yeah, it's just.
So how many people volunteered to pace you at Hardrock out of your running friends?
A grand total of 0.
Oh no.
Volunteer though. How many did you grab?
I tried. It's a tough sell to get people to come all the way from BC to Colorado to run with me. So I I threw it out there a bit, but people got their own stuff going on, so it was all right. So I ran it solo.
Oh, wow.
like
That's
a-
beast mode. All right. So let's get to the start line. How are you feeling? What's going through your mind?
Knowing that this is going to be the hardest day of your life.
Yeah. I think, the days leading up, I think the biggest thing for me was having been down there for a long time. That really calmed me down a little bit. Like I got out on the course a couple times beforehand, and there's so much hype about it to actually get on the course and realize they're just trails. There's nothing like super crazy about it. The altitude, and it's going to be hard, but I've been on lots of technical trails before. So I think seeing it really sort of calmed me down a little bit. But of course, start line, the nerves are sky high, as they always are. I always say at 100 milers, it usually takes me about 5K to get through the old, why did I do this to myself? What was I thinking? This race, less so, because it's what everything I'd done had been leading up to. Like I really wanted to really just enjoy the whole experience and soak it in. And as it was so difficult to get into, I just wanted to make sure. So Silverton's such a cool little town, and just everyone's there for the same reason. So just everybody around you talking to and just getting that feeling. And then the rock being there, you start right at the famous rock, and there's a lot of just like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe after all this is finally it. I'm actually about to start running Hardrock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anybody in particular you were looking forward to seeing at the start line? Any of the elites?
That's funny. Like I know a lot of the names, but I wouldn't recognize almost any of them to see them. Like I did happen to see Jim Walmsley, who was pacing Ludo at it, and I was just like, oh. But I now know them just from all the Hardrock videos, but I wouldn't have even, I could have walked right by Katie Schide. I probably would have had no idea who she was.
It's been about close to 10 years since you started try to get into Hardrock. Is that right?
Yeah. 2016, I ran Fat Dog. So every year since then, I put in with 2 race cancellations in that time too. So,
Okay. So let's break this race down into hours. How was the first 10 hours from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
10 hours. Pretty good. I like to just take it very easy to start, let everything settle in. This one's a bit tougher because you get a little bit of a run out of town, and then you just climb again, like 1,000-meter climb, and then a really steep descent down to the aid station. So it's easy for me. I'm not a fast climber, so I just kind of grind up the climb slowly, and I normally make up time on the downhills, but the downhills on this course are something else.
Really, eh? Can you describe them a little bit just to get a picture?
Yeah, I guess. Well, what they say in the counterclockwise direction, which was this one, is that you go up the ramps and down the steeps. So the climbs are just long, steady climbs, and then you just drop off. Not straight down, but they're just, each descent is different. But like the first one is just kind of narrow trail, loose rocks, steep. And there's a lot of people on that one too, right? You haven't really had a lot of time to space out. So you're fighting slower descenders. You can see where you're going, and it's a long way down. And then there's other descents that just insanely loose rock, shale. Like there's just so yeah. The first till 4 p.m. Now I've got to try and break it down like this. But yeah, this is a very warm day. The heat really picked up, and that's one thing I learned at altitude. The heat hits a little harder when you're. So just trying to stay hydrated and eating, which was my biggest thing. I think I was maintaining nutrition very well, which was good. Probably didn't get very far in those 10 hours, to be honest. I feel like I should have gone a lot farther, but...
Well, you're pacing yourself. By the time you get to Hardrock, you pretty much know what you're doing.
Yeah, of course.
There's nobody going in there as an amateur.
No.
Yeah, that's what I like about Hardrock is and they treat you as such, right? Like you've had to do all these mountainous 100-milers to get there. They don't give you a mandatory gear list. They don't, nothing. It's just like, we trust that you know what you need to get through this. You know that weather can hit, and so you better be prepared. And if you're not, you're going to suffer the consequences of that.
Right.
Wow. So what was the temperature at noonish?
I'd say it got up, doesn't sound crazy hot, probably 27, 28 degrees, but it just seemed feel a lot harder up at, because you're constantly just climbing up to 13,000 feet and then descending down and climbing right back up to 13,000 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So the next 10 hours, this is when you're going to start getting into the night section. past 4:00. When did the sun set?
Sunset, officially, I think 8:45 there. Like it got dark. Like probably I turned the headlamp on probably closer to between 9:30 and 10.
Yeah.
And we also were blessed with a full moon, so we had some nice light anyway without it. But I always hit or miss. I kind of like when night comes along because it means the heat is going down a little bit. So the early part of the night, so that would be from 4 till like 2 a.m. That's all right. You're still kind of going sort of late, like at the tail end of that, you're going down a big descent. And there was one section which it was basically just a field as best I could tell. It was night, so I only had but you could see a faint path, and there was obviously some markings along the way, but it was just a field that had uneven footing and like gopher holes, so you had to be like super careful about anywhere you did. And I was by myself at this point, so I'm just scanning everywhere, sometimes just trying to figure out where this trail goes or this path goes, and they don't mark it heavily. It was actually marked better than I thought the way they talked about it. I thought I was going to be using my GPX file a lot more, but it wasn't too bad. But so yeah, descending that field was an adventure. Then the next part descends down into the town of Ouray. And I had done this section before, and I'm glad I had, because it's this insanely, not super narrow, but a narrow enough trail, and you've got the rock cliff on one side and then just hundreds of feet drop off on the other. And it's a bit of loose rock at times, so you just gotta watch your step. But I'm glad I had done that before, although maybe not. Maybe if I would have had no idea what was going on, I wouldn't have thought about it. But it was nice to know, so you could just take it easy through that section as you sort of descended down into town, which is, I guess that's mile 58 in Ouray, once you get down to Ouray, which is the low point of the course.
Yeah.
Right.
So at this time, is everyone mostly spread out now? So when you're going to the night section, were you able to at least run with somebody?
Never ran with anybody, but there was always people around.
Yeah.
Like, it was not as spread out as I thought. With only 145 runners, I thought once it kind of spread out, I could be forever without seeing anybody. But there always just seemed to be people. You could see headlamps kind of ahead and behind, and sometimes you'd run with people, and everyone's doing their own thing. So no, mostly kind of just on my own.
Oh, that sounds so lonely. I don't think I would like that.
Well, you're one with the mountains.
Yeah. And I guess if you train alone, but it's a long time to be alone when you know you're in a race.
Yeah, which was nice that there were people. So I did kind of occasionally at times join up with people and have chats along the way, which is nice. But I'm also quite content to just kind of be on my own. It gets tougher as the night goes on. Once you get later into the night, those are my toughest hours. Once you get like 2, 3 in the morning till the sun comes up, those are the times when it gets a little bit just waiting for that sun to come up. Because when the sun comes up on day 2, it's like a whole new day again. It's amazing how, for me anyway, it's amazing how that works. But yeah, there's usually a 2 or 3 hour stretch that's rough.
So tell us about, where were you when the sun came up, and hopefully on top of a mountain?
Very close to I didn't quite get up. I think I left Ouray at about 3 a.m. and then I think the next aid station is 8 miles up, just a dirt road. It's just a steady incline dirt road. It's very famous, Campbird Road. I've heard about it lots listening to Hardrock, and it's probably better for me. It was at night because you could only see what you could see in front of you in your headlamp, and you just knew it was a steady road climb, and you just kept going and going and going. I got past that aid station close to the Kroger's Canteen, which is the famous aid station that's up in the nook of a mountain at the top of a mountain. And I didn't quite get there for sunrise, which would have been beautiful, but I was kind of on my way up into that area as the sun was starting to come up over the mountains, which, it's just beautiful no matter where you are.
Definitely. Any animal interactions during the night?
The only thing was, as it turned out, I had no idea what it was until I looked it up later. It was a ringtail. I don't know exactly what it is, but it was in a tree on that sketchy section I was talking about. All of a sudden, my headlamp just caught like these bright eyes in a tree. I was, ugh. So I stopped and I shined it. I'm like, what are you? Like, I've never seen you before. So we just kind of had a little stare down, and that was it.
Or was it really there?
That's why I kept looking back at it multiple times. Like, no, I'm pretty sure you exist.
On your mark, get set, listen up. Looking for a fun way to wrap up your summer? Join us on Labor Day Monday for our annual Island Lake Classic. Events include a fast 5K, a scenic 10K around the entire lake, and a free kids fun run. The autumn colors will be on display at Island Lake Conservation Area in Orangeville, Ontario. Registration is now open at gottarunracing.com. And I'm off! Back to the show.
So what's a ringtail?
I would guess it's like in a raccoon family, kind of that kind of. I had no idea even how to Google it. Somehow I came up with Colorado wildlife, and I saw a picture. I'm like, yeah, that's what it was.
Now, were you happy with your pace at this point? After the halfway mark.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't worry too much. Like as long as I'm moving good, and at that point, like I say, and I credit Jenny with this, although it's something I should have known years ago, is my nutrition always would fall apart on 100 milers. I probably ate more in the first 50 kilometers of Hardrock than I have in 100 miles at any other race I've done.
Wow.
My stomach just always kind of turns, and as soon as I feel nauseous, I just kind of stop eating, which is probably not a great strategy, but at Hardrock, and I would have never guessed I could ever do this, but I basically subsisted off solely Morton and Precision gels for almost the entire race with
Are you serious?
Yeah, every time I tried to eat, like it was so disappointing because the aid stations go all out. Like the food they had there is unbelievable, but anytime I tried real food, it would just instantly like sit wrong and I would feel terrible for a little while. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just stick with what's working, and I assumed that would turn eventually too, but it never did, shockingly. So,
wow.
So I was still moving good. I was still feeling good. It was the most, like I say, coherent I've been at aid stations, where I was functional enough to make my own decisions and know what I needed and figure things out. Like a lot of times I just would be in no man's land and kind of mumble my way through and forget to do half the things I was supposed to do at aid stations. And so
that's what you need a pacer.
That would have been good. I almost had one, but it fell through. And then I was just kind of like, okay, like they have a pacer spreadsheet on the Hardrock website that I reached out to a few people and just never came through. And one did, but then he had to bail out on me. So I've done all except Fat Dog without pacer, so I was just kind of like, okay, I guess just kind of.
Well, if that's how you manage it, did you have any family down there?
My wife, my wife's super crew, so it's not a super easy to access a lot of those aid stations at Hardrock. So she came to the first one, and then she was in Ouray, and then again at Telluride.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always nice to see her out there. She's my support, and it's always nice to see her everywhere out there. So. Although she got very mad at me, Ouray, because I left and it's right in town. So I went out. I didn't need a headlamp. I turned a few corners and I'm like, oh, I should probably turn the headlamp on. And I reached up to turn it on and there was no headlamp on my head.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay. So I turned around and went back and she was still there, thankfully. And she was looking at her phone or looking down. And I just came right up to her. I'm like, yeah, hey, so I decided to drop out of the race. She looked like, what? I'm like, oh no, I'm just kidding. I just forgot my headlamp and I grabbed it. I didn't think any of it. And she's like, you took 5 years off my life with that one.
Because she knows it'd have been another 10 years before you get back there.
Exactly.
Or any hallucinations happening between hours 30 to 40.
Turns out that maybe eating food keeps you from hallucinating. Didn't actually have any hallucinations on this one. 30 to 40 is where, I mean, not that this whole entire race wasn't really hard, because again, you're just doing basically close to 1,000-meter climbs repeatedly. There's eight major climbs if you look at the way I looked at the elevation profile. So I just kind of kept counting down and kind of looking at it that way. And so as you get, and again, I've made silly mistakes like thinking like, okay, once I'm in Telluride, no problem. You're basically done. And like, yeah, there's a couple climbs, but those climbs, they're
deceiving hard.
And just again, the descents are crazy. And then the big climb out of Telluride, the heat of the day started to kick in again, and you're climbing a beautiful climb though, just so nice. And so the heat doesn't get to be too bad. You just notice it. And I think it sucks the life out of you a little bit. So, but it's again, a beautiful climb. And again, every time I thought I was at the top, I was never at the top. There was always,
Oh,
and that's where I just silly mistakes that I should know. Never to believe I'm at the top until I know I'm at the top.
I never believed that there's just one more corner, one more corner.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah. And then got up to the top of that one. And that was, once I got up there, I remember there's a very famous island lake, which is Grand Swamp Pass, which, I mean, everyone's seen the picture who knows about Hardrock. And so I went there because I wanted to see it, like before the race. I made sure to hike up there because I wanted to appreciate it. I wanted to see it, not knowing when I'd get there on race day. So when I got up to Grand Swamp, I looked across and I could see these like switchback roads off a mountain way in the distance. I'm like, oh, I bet you that's Oscar's Pass. Like, I'm sure that's based on the map. Like, that's where I'll be coming down.
Right.
Looks like a nice switchbacky Forest Service road from way over there. It was not.
Really?
It was switchbacks, but it was loose rock, shale. You couldn't get, or I couldn't get solid footing. Like, I fell on my butt so many times on that descent. It's just so frustrating. Steep. You're just sliding everywhere, just trying to hold on, just trying to get down.
God.
Yeah.
And was Island Lake worth it?
Yeah, I said I appreciated it 100 times more getting up to Grand Swamp Pass during the race than I did when I just hiked up there. Beautiful anyway, but the hike to get up there is something else because same thing was. So I descended that crazy descent finally, got to the aid station, spent some time there, had to get my feet looked after a little bit, because your feet are always wet and then you get rocks in there and they just kind of grind. I changed my socks as often as I could.
Yeah.
And my feet weren't horrible, but just needed some work. So I got that done. And as I was sitting there, the volunteers at these aid stations are unbelievable. I've never seen it. At the major ones, you basically get your own personal assistant.
Wow.
They grab you and they're like, what do you need? And it's not just like, what do you need? They're like, do you have garbage? So I'm sitting there, this guy just brings the whole entire whiteboard menu over to me. He's like, this is what we got. And I have no idea why. It was in the morning, maybe afternoon at that point. And I'll go through this whole menu of all this good food. And I'm like, well, you know what? Fireball. That sounds pretty good.
Yes. Yes.
I did not expect that. I thought he was going to say bacon.
So funny enough, that was the response of most people at the aid station. They were super excited that I wanted this Fireball. So they come over this little shot bottle of Fireball and they're taking they're like, where? And at first I was like, I don't think I want this now, but I think I'm going to want this. Maybe a finish line shot. But then I thought, no, Grand Swamp Pass. When I get up there, I'm looking down at Island Lake. It's a beautiful, beautiful little saddle. Like, this is the place. And they're like, yeah, that's the place to do it. And there is a rock and a plaque up there for Joel Zucker, who's, I guess, a well-known, and it's a tradition. You go up there, you place a rock by the plaque.
Oh, nice.
And so the aid station people are like, yeah, so grab a rock, place it there, and then do your shot up there. So I did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, the Fireball did not sit great. But the scenery up there and doing it up there was the perfect spot. It's just the climb to get up there is insane. It's 45-degree angle probably for the last pitch to get up to that saddle, and it's just, from what I had heard, I mean, because it's covered in snow basically all the way up to race day. It wasn't for the race, but so there is no trail. It's just like a loose rock. Clearly somebody had been up there and they tried to create a bit of a switchback trail up there. And so we all sort of followed that. But I mean, if you were behind people, you had to look out for rocks coming down at you. And it's like one of those, like, one step up, slide down a little bit, keep going. The poles got their workout on that climb, but I'd done one of the hard rock hikes before the race, and the guy who led them had done it. I think he's done hard rock 17 times. And somebody brought up that section. He goes, yeah, but it's only 15 minutes. It's not huge. Like, it's a climb, but you just got to get it through it. So I kept that in my head. I was like, okay, that's true. It's right there. It's going to take me a bit, but I know what's up there and I know how amazing it is. And you just got to laugh and appreciate it for what it is. It's kind of hilarious that this is a route on a race. This is an actual course.
It's a wild, wild west.
Yeah. Pretty much. And then, then descend down towards the lake and then kind of kept going and then hit again, there's the next aid station is KT, which is 12 miles from the finish. which feels close and is relatively close, but was not as close as in my head. I was like, oh, once I'm there, all good from there. And then guess what you do after that? You go for another big climb.
Oh, man. So how long did it take you from the 12 miles to the finish line?
Well, tell us about the last hour.
No, I just want to know, get a frame of reference.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good question. I'd have to look it up, but it took a lot longer than I thought it would, for sure.
Probably about 4 or 5 hours, I would think.
I would guess it would be in that neighborhood if I looked it up, for sure. Like, it was, you feel like it, but, and again, it was, if I had looked a little closer at the elevation profile, like, it just looked like a climb. I'm like, okay, I know this is coming. I think it's 600 or 700 meters. I'm like, okay, that's relatively to everything else I've done at Hardrock, a pretty small climb.
Yeah.
But when I look closer, it's like a climb and then a little bit of flat, then another climb, a little bit of flat, and another climb. So every time I hit the flat, I'm like, okay, must have a little bit. And then it just kept going. And of course, you're 37 hours into it at this point. You're just like, oh my God, can we please get to the top?
Okay, take us to the final hour. Now you know that you're going to get this thing done. So what was going through your mind knowing you're in the final hour here?
Yeah. In my head, KT was, I always figured, like, if I got to Telluride, it was in the bag barring injury, right? At a certain time, when I knew what time I got there, I had all the time in the world from before cutoff. So I was like, okay, I'm good. Same with KT. I was like, all right, it was much harder than I thought it was going to be, but I still was like, I'm good. And then that last hour is it's kind of more of a descent. Night has fallen again. So it's my hope for finishing before the second night that was my A goal for Hardrock. Not really a huge deal, but I'd hoped to get in before darkness. Didn't. So I'm just kind of going and realizing, yeah, it's all good. And then it happens to me most races. I'm just done. Like, I just want to be back. So I'm like, okay, I've got a little downhill. Let's just go. Like, let's just let myself go. Let the body, as long as the body will hold me, like, let's just go. I'm not exactly flying, but compared to the rest of my race, like, I'm moving really well. And I start passing a lot of people I'd been and just feeling good. And it just kept going and the body kept holding up. I was still moving really good. And so, yeah, I just kind of kept going and going. And like, I'm just ready to be done. Not in a bad way. I'm just like, oh, this feels good. I'm just going to go. And then as I told Dale, the run director at the end, it's such a diabolical finish because this nice descent that's been going for, like, it's boulder fields and stuff. So it's not nice, but it's a descent. And then to finish, you have to cross a river.
Okay.
Well, they do provide a rope, and it was about like just over knee depth at that point.
Oh, how kind of them.
Yeah, I thought that was. And then right after the river, you got to go through a bit of mud to get your feet nice and muddy after getting wet.
Okay.
And then you cross the highway, and then you immediately climb a hill. Not a huge hill, but you kind of are at that point where you're like, I'm done. And then you go up a hill, and then you kind of run along this trail. I was much farther from the finish than I thought I was. Like, in my head, when I finally decided, like, I'm done, I thought, like, I might have a chance to finish this in the 10 o'clock hour. So I'm like, let's give it my best shot. And so then I'm start climbing this hill, and then this trail just keeps going. I'm like, oh, I'm not as close to Silverton as I thought I was when I crossed the highway. So the trail just kind of kept going, but I was fine. Like, I kept running, like, little undulating terrain there. And then I pop out on the final, like, on the main road that kind of takes you up above the course that you drop down, which of course is all uphill, this road. But at that point, I'm pretty sure I'm about a mile from the finish. So that's when it really, really started sinking in, where you're like, I was texting my wife just to let her know where I was so she would make sure she was there. And it all sort of hit, like, all the years of trying to get in. Like, when I got into this race, like, I didn't realize how much it meant to me until I saw my name getting into it, where I was like, oh, no, there's a reason I've been putting in for this for 10 years. So, like, getting in the start line, I felt the same way. I got a little emotional at the start. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And it was the same for that last mile, where you're just like, I'm about to go down. I'm about to run through town, and I'm gonna see that rock, and I'm gonna kiss that rock and be done with it. And so, yeah, it was pretty great. Like, I did not finish in the 10 o'clock hour, not even close. I finished at 11:21, but
finish is a finish.
But that's the thing. It didn't matter. I knew I was going to finish, and I was just soaking it all in at that end, just kind of reliving it and just being like, wow, this has been a dream come true. And then to go down, and even at 11 at night, there were people around cheering. And then, you turn the corner down the street, and there it is, the finish line.
Yay. Well, 41:21, big congrats. And it sounds like it lived up to your expectations, if not more so.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I'm always concerned when things are hyped up a lot that there's no way it can live up. But every part of the experience was, from just the community around it, just the vibe in the town, the race, the run itself, all the people. It was just, yeah, you couldn't have asked for anything more. It was everything I hoped for and probably more.
Would you would like to do it again, knowing the process it takes to get to it?
Yeah, it's funny. During the run, I joke, like, you got a lot of time to think about things. Like, and not in a bad way at all. I did actually consider, like, retirement from 100-mile distances. I'm like, I'm 47. It's putting my body through a lot to run these things. So, and then I finished, and then within a day, I was like, yeah, I'd run that in the other direction. That'd be cool. Like,
Only a day, huh?
maybe 2.
Well, if you get in again, I would love to be your pacer.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do it that way. Yeah, and now I enter the different lottery, which is still not easy to get into, but now the finishers you're in a different lottery to get in. So there's fewer, still a lot of people still putting in. So the odds are still pretty minimal, but yeah, I'm good for 3 years now with the Hardrock finish to put in for the lottery. So I'll probably keep putting in.
Wow. And what about the other races on your list? I don't know if it's on your list, but I thought you were trying to get into Western States as well. Is Western States and UTMB still on your list?
I'm not sure. Like, I did try and get into Western States a few times, but mostly just if my Hardrock qualifier was also a Western States qualifier. And every year when I see the coverage of Western States, I say, this looks awesome, and obviously like the history around it. But then I watch the footage and how hot and miserable it looks. I'm like, maybe I don't want to do Western States. Kind of goes back. So, and UTMB, I'm not sure. I don't know. I loved UTMB. There's just so many people in that race. I like these smaller races a little bit more. I think if I was going to do it, I'd maybe find a different race in that area over there in the Alps, but
which isn't hard.
Yeah, and there's lots, or even just to go do it on my own, like go hike up there and do that. I don't know. There's just something about that. Looking at that start line of whatever the main UTMB, I think it's, I don't know, however many thousands are there all crammed together running for a bit. I was like, ooh, I don't know.
You got a point.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next, Craig?
Summer of adventure, as I call it. I just like to do just random adventures into the mountains locally here. Just got a long list of objectives I want to do. So now that I got my training and race over with, now it's just kind of a free for all. And there's a local race around here I'll probably do in October that a friend of mine is a race director for, and my run group usually puts a group in. So I'll probably go do that, a 30K run in October. And then I don't know. It happens faster than you think before I got to start thinking about if I want to do something next year. All the registrations come up very quickly.
They sure do. Well, we have Steve Day to thank for having you on as a guest today. How did you meet Steve?
I don't remember the first time I met Steve, but through mountain adventures, I think I met him through a friend of mine who got me onto the Hardrock train, and we've done some pretty fun adventures together, Steve and I. We kind of have the same ideas of enjoying the mountains around here. So we've had some fun up in those mountains for sure.
Nice. Well, big congrats again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Before we let you go, we like to end with a little rapid fires, just some fun questions. So let's get into it. Favorite decade of music?
The 90s.
90s
alternative rock.
Nice. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Wars.
Okay. Butter tarts, with or without raisins?
Without.
You're my new best friend.
There we go. I mean, I will eat them with, but I prefer them without.
Okay. All right. Whatever. Any tattoos?
No tattoos.
No. Okay.
Are you going to get a ram's head?
Oh, yeah.
On your calf now?
Yeah, then I can kiss it whenever? No.
No? All right. Would you rather be a professional writer, painter, or musician?
Musician.
Musician?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
All right. What's a TV show you're embarrassed to say you watch?
Oh, embarrassed to say I watch. Ooh. I'm not really embarrassed, but I guess I watch Queer Eye.
Sure, that works. It's a great show. All right, and final question, Norm.
Pick a superpower that you'd like to have.
Ooh, a superpower. Oh, that's a good one. I think it would be super fun to fly.
It's popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm sure there are lots of good ones if I had time to think about it, but fly is just such an easy one.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And congrats
Thanks
again.
for having me.
Ride that Hardrock high for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Always happy to talk about Hardrock.
Good stuff. Well, thanks again.
Hopefully we can meet in person one day.
Yeah.
Someday. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We're planning to do some more Canadian races, so hopefully we'll see you at one.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. You
Cheers.
too.
Bye.
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 And that was Craig Frizzle of Maple Ridge, BC, who just confirmed what I already knew, that I never want to do hard rock. No offense, but not my jam. How about you, Norm?
I would love to do it as a pacer.
There you go.
Because to see someone else go through hell is always fun for me. But it looks like he didn't go through hell. It looks like he had a good time.
Yeah, he seemed pretty set for this one.
Yeah, he was chill the whole way.
Yeah, and no pacer, and he went through the whole thing on gels. I don't even understand how you do that, but good for him.
I could not do that.
Gels and a shot of Fireball.
That's all you need. That's the Canadian way.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
It'd be funny if he gets back in to do it in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
Sounds like reverse is the better way.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Everyone has their own preference.
Yep.
Right? Just a reminder that our final race of the season, Island Lake Classic, is coming up very soon. September 1st, Labor Day Monday. And this year you're going to get a pair of running socks that match last year's hat.
That's right. So if you were thinking about coming back, you'll get a matching set.
There you go. And registration will close on August 30th. So don't delay. Sign up today.
On that note, please, if you like what you hear, subscribe, like, share, follow.
All that good stuff. We appreciate it.
Until next time.
Cheers.
Bye.